Welcome to Exhausted Reviews. My name is Eddie X, and this is my video series where I drive, experience, and review enthusiast cars. And today we have the keys to this, a 2014 Audi R8 V10 Plus that has been fantastically modified. I think this might be the perfect Audi R8. So the R8 has had two generations. The first one came out in the late 2000s. That's the iconic R8 you think of, the one that Tony Stark drove. It came out with a naturally aspirated V8, but as a platform sibling to the Lamborghini Gallardo, they ended up adding the 5.2-liter naturally aspirated V10 to it. And then it received a refresh. This is what you see here. This is a Gen 1 refresh car, 2014-2015. The second generation, the newest one, is a platform sibling to the Lamborghini Huracan now, and that is V10 only. Now, the transmission is a big part of the R8 experience. When the Gen 1 first came out, it was available with either a gated 6-speed manual or a 6-speed R-tronic. This was the era of the flappy paddle single clutch transmissions like Lamborghini E-Gear, Ferrari F1, and R-tronic. I used to nickname R-tronic R-tragic because it's never going to be as precise, smooth, and quick shifting as a modern day dual clutch transmission. But as time has gone on, I've kind of forgiven it. It adds to the experience. It has its own unique feel to it, and it's just a sports car of the era, and I think it's cool. Now, for the Gen 1 refresh car like this one, there was a big change. They introduced a 7-speed dual clutch transmission, the S-tronic. It was essentially like a preview appetizer of what the Gen 2 R8 and Lamborghini Huracan were going to come with. Now, Gen 1 cars, you can find gated manual, OEM gated ones, but the Gen 1 refresh cars, they're much more difficult to find. I think maybe because S-tronic was so much better, the take rate was a little bit higher, but now the aftermarket does have solutions, so you can do a swap. This car has been swapped from S-tronic to a 6-speed gated manual. Now, in terms of the powertrain, Gen 1 cars were available with either a 4.2-liter naturally aspirated V8 or this 5.2-liter naturally aspirated V10. This one is a V10 Plus, what made 550 horsepower, 396 pound-feet of torque. The V8 was lower at 430 horsepower and 317 pound-feet of torque. This V10 is essentially the one you would find in a Lamborghini Gallardo. They have evolved it over time, various different power levels, revving to 8,700 RPM. This is one of the most special engines you can get in a sports car. The styling. I had to use the side profile as we talk about the design because the shape and silhouette of the R8 is simply iconic. You have the big carbon side blade there, and I can't believe this car is over 10 years old. The design is aging very nicely. Now, the Gen 2 car is much more angular and pointy, but when I think about the looks, the design of the R8, this is what comes to mind. And I like the Gen 1 refresh because they slightly updated the headlights and taillights to make it look a little bit more modern. There's a couple other tweaks here and there, but the overall shape, the curves, the proportions are preserved. When you compare the proportions of an R8 with the Lamborghini platform sibling, the R8 is going to be a little bit longer, a little bit taller, just so you have a little bit more space. This is meant to be the more practical, usable, daily drivable V10 supercar platform. That's partially why I've always purchased an R8 instead of the Lamborghini platform sibling, because I fit better in these. Now, the spec on this one is properly special. Factory matte Sepang blue paint, which is very rare and very amazing. Obviously, fully protected in stealth PPF. And we have forged BBS wheels, which look really, really cool. Plenty of matte carbon all over it. This thing just looks so properly amazing. And as somebody who has owned both a Gen 1 and a Gen 2 R8, I think looking back right now, I'm going for a Gen 1 in terms of the looks. let's go for a drive. Am I excited to drive this car? Abso-frickin-lutely. For those of you that have been watching my channel for a while, you may recall I've owned two R8s. I had a Gen 1 V10 Spider gated manual. Probably never should have sold that car. I mean, I made some money on it, but if I kept it for longer, it'd be worth even more, and it's just a rare, special experience. And then I had a Gen 2 RWS. That's the V10 rear-wheel drive. Now this car is like the best of both worlds. It's like a combination of the two. It's a Gen 1 refresh car with a gated manual. It's gonna be special, very, very special. Now, the gated swap, this is a swap, is very, very interesting because the aftermarket has been able to figure that out. It's more possible for these Gen 1 cars because they did come from the factory with a manual transmission option. It requires both mechanical changes, obviously you have to swap in the actual transmission, but also programming. There's electronics, the computer systems for transmission, engine control, power to control, all of that, so you have to program it. Apparently, it is a bit more challenging to do an S-tronic swap than an R-tronic, the Gen 1 R-tronic. This one was done by a company called Third Pedal down in Birmingham, Alabama. They do these gated manual swaps, and if you did not tell me that this was a S-tronic originally and an aftermarket swap, I would not be able to tell. It is utterly flawless. No codes, no weird hiccups, nothing. It drives absolutely fantastically. I've been in this thing all morning, cruising around, and it's so nice. It feels perfect. The clutch is actually a little bit lighter than I remember. It's actually a lot lighter than, I have a BMW M2 manual right now, a brand new 2025 M2. The clutch is definitely heavier in that thing than this car, but there's something about a gated manual that's just special. It speaks to us car enthusiasts. I had a friend once that asked me, we were in my first R8, right? And they were like, is it faster? I'm like, oh no, it's not like a faster shifting thing. Like, is it better? Like, what makes it better? I couldn't explain. I wasn't able to verbalize. I'm like, it's cool. And I was like, you hear the sound? Like the clicking, right? The gates. And they're like, and? So to non-car people, I don't think it properly makes sense. But there's something about the experience. And if you think about what is available with a gated manual shifter, it's pretty illustrious vehicles. I mean, the R8s, the Lamborghini Gallardo, Murcielagos, a bunch of Ferraris of the era, F430, 360s, they're pretty cool. And I think it's really fascinating that we're getting swaps now, right? Especially on, if you have an R-tronic car or an E-gear car from Lamborghini, when the transmission is not that great, right? Go into a manual, it's a fantastic improvement because a manual is never gonna be not awesome, right? It's always going to be the engaging driver's choice. You don't need to worry about anything. It's just, it's perfect. Now, when you're swapping something like an S-tronic, that's a very specific decision because S-tronic in these cars is pretty good. It's like 95% of the Gen 2 R8 and the Lamborghini Huracan. They made slight tweaks, it's sharpened up a little bit, but like I've spent time with this generation S-tronic and it's fantastic. No complaints at all. But when you go to a manual, you just put it into a different category of driving experience. And I am having all the happy fun memories now of a gated manual V10. I gotta say, I am really impressed with how this feels. It genuinely, this could be OEM. Like everything on this car is like OEM plus. We gotta talk about some of the other mods. These seats, take a look at those seats. What? So, fun story. The way I connected with the owner of this car, Phil, I was at dinner in one of the suburbs around here, and I came outside the restaurant and parked right up front on the curb was this car. And I'm like, whoa, R8, Matsepang Blue, that's such a cool paint finish. And then I was like, oh, the plate says gated. Oh, it's got a 6-speed gated manual, heck yeah. Oh my gosh, the seats. These are McLaren Senna seats. They're not cheap. McLaren Senna seats, if you can get them, OEM ones, ballpark $15,000 to $20,000 per seat, and they fit. I'm not exactly sure what needed to be done to the seat rails to make them fit perfectly in this car, but this thing has McLaren Senna seats, and Center seats, once you're in, are actually pretty comfortable for carbon fiber buckets. The bolstering on the side is extremely aggressive. And you have a shoulder bolstering here too. There's actually two different kinds of center seats from what I recall. They call them like the regular, and then there's, I think, touring. Touring is just, that's what Fat American is. So there's the like American spec seats for us larger Americans, and then there's the European style center seats. But getting in and out is a challenge. I've taken to sliding it back so I can hop out, because you got to get yourself over this bolster. But once you're in, it's pretty freaking awesome. And it's just, this is so cool, because regular R8 seats, to be honest, aren't fantastic. We never got the more sporty buckets here in America, so we had to make do with mediocre seats, and going to this, it's just so cool. I mean, the cost is staggering, even if you can kind of find a deal. Maybe you go find a wrecked 600 LT or something like that, and you grab the seats out of it. That is still a very, very expensive mod, but when you're going all out on a car like this, why not? I need to get away from the neighborhoods. I don't know where I am right now. I'm in just the really, really fancy suburbs of Chicago, the North Shore suburbs. These houses are probably 10 times my net worth each, maybe more. 50 times? Yeah, that sounds, oh my gosh, that's a lot. But back to the car. We also have an Akrapovic, Acra, the really nice exhaust company, full titanium for this car. So that had to be sourced from, of all places, Slovenia, because I guess they just don't make, they don't have, this car's 10 plus years old. They just don't have them sitting around anymore. So it had to be sourced from Europe. We've got the exhaust, the BBS FIR wheels, which then leads us to weight savings. This car, again, wasn't crazy heavy when new, 3450, I think was the curb weight from Audi, and that was the V10 Plus. They tried to lightweight it a little bit with more carbon fiber, standard carbon ceramic brakes, just a little bit more power. But now this thing is like 300 pounds lighter than stock, ballpark. DCT, a lot of weight, 180, now going down to a manual transmission. The seats save a ton too. OEM seats are something like 70 pounds. So going to these is a huge weight savings, because these center seats weigh like nothing. And then you also have the BBS wheels, the exhaust. If you've ever seen a stock Audi R8 V10 exhaust, it's massive. This enormous suitcase muffler is utterly ridiculous. So this thing is significantly lighter than it was when it came from the factory. And that's pretty awesome. Oh my God, this thing has been such a treat to drive. And I wish I had some amazing curvy back roads to get to really rip on this thing. Okay, we caught one little bug. The seatbelt light went off. What? That was weird. Let's talk a bit more about the interior. So there are aspects of this generation R8 that are absolutely showing its age, and it's always going to be the screen. This one is no longer OEM. This is an aftermarket head unit, because the OEM one was so hilariously outdated. Even when the car was new, it was just bad. That was absolutely the weak spot. This is fine. Analog cluster is fine, right? I don't even care about the odometer and things like that being an older style. Like, that's totally fine, the screen in the middle, because we have actual needles for your tachometer, your speedometer, your gauges. I love this. That, even when it was new, wasn't great. I remember in my R8, I had to use that weird little like proprietary dongle thing if I wanted to play any music, and I had to like dig out this ancient iPod Touch to plug in, and it barely could even load Spotify for me to listen to music. So that part, yeah, I mean, that's just something of this era. It's a 2014 model year car. Now the upsides, the materials are still really nice. The Gen 1s they got these like quilted leather inserts on the doors. We have tons of carbon fiber on this one. The center tunnel here has even more carbon fiber, and of course, the gated manual transmission. Yeah, seats can be heated. I would assume these are no longer heated anymore now that we've gone to center seats. I swear I can feel the weight reduction. Oh, this thing Oh, this is a big difference from my R8s. Oh, this is my favorite art I've driven. Oh, I want this car, or I want to do what the owner has done to this car to another one. Oh, this is cool. This is so cool. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, the interior. So of course, center seat swapped in, quilted leather, pretty spacious, comfortable. I'm actually pretty comfortable in this thing. I'm 6'3". That's what I've always loved about the R8s. I have enough headroom. I can hop in this car, drive it, do a road trip. These carbon buckets actually feel more comfortable than the carbon buckets in the M2 that I'm driving right now. And of course we have the V10, the glorious V10. Naturally aspirated, revving to nearly 9,000 RPM. I also love how quickly an engine like this is able to rev. It just paired with the manual transmission makes it an even more special experience. I really never should have sold my Gen 1 V10 Spider. There are absolutely regrets currently running through my mind right now. Why did I sell that car? Why? Mistakes were made. The flat bottom Alcantara steering wheel. We got lots of carbon here. Plenty of storage actually. Got the cargo shelf out back. Small-ish front trunk up front, but I mean, it's still a mid-engine supercar, right? Let's talk about the price, the value. How much are these worth now? So you're starting to get Gen 1 V10s for like, you can get a decent one for maybe 80s, which is quite a lot of car for the money. Obviously, as cars like this get older, you have to budget for maintenance and repairs. Remember, when these things were new, they were $120,000 to $200,000 cars, and you still have very expensive, complicated, hard to find sometimes components. There are some known issues with R8s, Gen 1 R8s. AC compressor can be a failure point, but I know there's ways to deal with it now where they don't, I think at one point it was like an engine out thing because it was like packaged way back in there, really hard to get to, but they can like maneuver them out now. So AC compressors can fail, magnetic ride can fail if you are have one equipped. It's almost like a guarantee. They'll start seeping and you're gonna have to replace them with, a lot of times you can replace OEM, but I know some people just go to an aftermarket coilover setup, so that's almost like a given. And early R8s had issues with the front subframe cracking. Now, pricing wise, so Gen 1s are gonna be the cheapest. Gen 1 refresh, you can get a decent one for like maybe $100,000 depending on the miles. Now, the gated ones are gonna be the rarities, right? Because OEM gated V10 refresh cars are super rare. I saw one, I think it was a Spider for sale, with 5,000 miles for 175, which is like what they were when they were brand new. Now, how do you put a value on a aftermarket swapped version of it? It becomes tougher. Is it gonna be worth as much as the OEM version? No, because it's not from the factory that way, it's been aftermarket. But when it's done like this, I personally would not care. If I was buying this car to drive and enjoy, I would not care that it had been swapped because it's been done perfectly. This is absolutely like essentially flawless from what I can experience, and the driving experience is rewarding so nicely, so absolutely nicely. Now, value-wise, maybe I would say, if I had to just throw a guess, 75-80% of the value of a OEM one, which is still a lot. So you can definitely recoup a lot of your money when you are doing the swap. Like a ballpark, maybe 50 grand, between 30 to 50 grand to do a swap like this, assuming you can find all the parts available. Now, compared to Gen 2 prices, Gen 2s are also very interesting because they're starting to depreciate, but you have the Gen 1s kind of propping them up. Like, I bought my RWS for $125. That was at the bottom of the market. I sold it for about $150. So I made money on that car. And Gen 2s are starting to hold steady because you have the Gen 1s prop them up. If you get a S-Tronic V10 Plus 2015, powertrain combo essentially the same. Yes, the interior is much more dated, so discount a little bit for that. But like, you can't keep having the prices go down. So if Gen 2s are gonna drop to 100, what does that make Gen 1 V10s? 60? 50? Yeah, there are some with miles and history maybe that are at that price point now, but you see, it's a very interesting thing as the R8 starts to age because it's such a good car. Maybe that's what I'm gonna do. I told myself I was kind of done with R8s after owning 2 of them, that I want to try other experiences, but after driving this, I kind of want a V10 coupe manual. And I actually think I would do a Gen 1 refresh car, even maybe a Gen 1 with the V10 swap into it. It's just more engaging than a Gen 2. I took to calling my Gen 2, it's a A5 with a V10 in the back. It was great. I mean, the engine sounds amazing. It was comfortable, usable, modern tech. It was an easy to drive car. It was a daily driver. I put winter tires on it, Soto Zeros, and drove it in the snow. I was like, whatever. Well, this is the car I'll drive all winter long, even though it was rear-wheel drive, not a problem. But it was lacking some of the drama, the excitement, the pizzazz factor. And I think this slightly older Gen 1 brings a little bit more of that back. This one has, as it's been modified, absolutely does. Everything adds up to make this a amazing R8. We have the wheels, lower unsprung weight. They look amazing. Just look at the little cutouts in the spokes. We have the exhaust, wakes up that V10 a bit. I mean, the exhaust is awesome. We have the looks. Matte Sepang blue is really rare, cool color, and I love an R8 that's not black, white, or silver. Although, no, both of mine were white. Yeah, I want one that's a Skittles color, something that's fun, right? Don't buy white R8s. I need to stop doing that. We have the Senna seats. It just goes on and on and on. The things that this car has that make it special. This has been an absolute treat. Let's take a moment to talk about how this compares to other sports cars, supercars of this era. When this was new, you were competing with Porsche 911 Turbo, R35 Nissan GTR, what else? Mercedes SLS AMG. You technically could cross shop it with like a Lamborghini Gallardo. Maybe you go a couple year older Gallardo versus brand new R8. Now this and the Lambo are going to be platform siblings, so very similar experience. The Lambo's going to be a little bit sportier, racier, more tight fueling cabin, and it looks much more wild and exotic. Compared to the SLS. SLS was more of almost like a German muscle car cruiser. Those things are tail happy, and if you had a coupe, the doors go up. So that's also really special, but totally different experience, this being mid-engine. The R35 GTR and the Turbo were both rocket ships, boosted, all-wheel drive, dual clutch transmissions. Like, those are really good cars. Still to this day, they're pretty fantastic. And it just, such a different personality getting the R8. At the time, most of the time when I've driven R8s, especially all-wheel drive ones, they're a little more numb feeling. Quattro is great for putting the power down. You get the added traction. Maybe you want to drive it in the winter or whatever. But they can tend a little bit more towards understeer. There is something that a lot of people do to these cars, Gallardos and R8s, is they convert them to rear-wheel drive. It's actually a very easy thing to do, and you can put it back in and then make it all-wheel drive if you want to sell it as Quattro. But you can unquattroify your R8 aftermarket, and that can help the steering a little bit up front. This one, even though it's still Quattro, I think it's the wheels, the lower unsprung weight of the wheels, plus the overall car. It does feel a bit more nimble. And like the steering of this era, we don't have all the fancy latest changing weight of electronic power steering. All these new cars I'm driving have like 7 different options for your steering weight. Not 7's a little bit of an exaggeration, but you get what I mean, right? Like, this is just, again, another of those cars you just get in and go. Like, I don't need to fiddle around with anything. I just hopped in, put the clutch in, started the car. Yeah, I have traction control, but I'm here to just drive and enjoy. Oh yeah. Oh, getting downshifts right in a gated manual car is so satisfying. The sound of the gated shifter, the look of it, like, oh, yes. I'm being transported back to memories of owning my gated R8. This is the perfect R8. I've decided. I don't care, your twin turbo R8 might be faster, your R8 GT might be more rare, more powerful, Gen 2 ones, launch control, whatever. Like, this thing is phenomenal. I wouldn't bother with boosting this, something like this. You don't need the supercharger or more torque. This is driving engagement and enjoyment. I want to work for it. I want to rev it out to almost 9,000 RPM. I want to shift the gears myself. This is such a cool car. Gated manual cars, you do have to be a little bit more deliberate with your shifting. because you kind of have to go like down and over around the gates. They are rounded off a little bit to help guide it, but not quite as much as like a Porsche GT3. I kind of do like the little L pattern or whatever that shape would be. But there's something about the feeling. It's like the metal on metal sliding, the sound, just a subtle tactile experience that makes it so much cooler. Oh my goodness. I can't afford to buy and modify a car like this right now. Oh, this is such a privilege to get to drive and experience the car. But at the same time, I am left with the want. I want one of these in the garage again. Oh, and I'm just doing around town driving and having so much fun. So much fun. That's what I love. Like, I'm not on the track. I'm not in the Malibu canyons. I'm not climbing a mountain in this car. But I've got this stupid massive grin on my face the entire time driving it. Going from 0 to 45 miles an hour, I am enjoying it because of the ingredients that this car has. Oh my goodness. I admit I'm a little bit of an Audi fanboy. I've owned 5 or 6 RS7s, S4, A8, 2 R8s, however many that is. And of course, I've purchased these myself, so I've got to love the car, right? Otherwise, why would I have bought it before? So there is definitely a little bit of bias right there, but I think any enthusiast can look at this car, look at the ingredients, and absolutely agree with me that this is a proper car, special car, driver experience. It has lots of aftermarket stuff to it, but it's all very tasteful, OEM plus in every single way. Like, I could not modify this car better myself. It does ride a little bit more on the firm side, on the fixed springs, but it's nothing unbearable. This car still feels so solid. Wind noise isn't bad. We've got 36,000 miles on it, but it feels like it could have 10,000 miles on it. What a day. What a car. This thing is amazing. Yep, this is the perfect R8. I am declaring it now. This is so awesome. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this video on this 2014 R8 V10 Plus gated manual swap, McLaren Senna seats, amazingly modified, amazing driving experience, and truly special. This is my favorite R8 I've ever driven, and I think this is the perfect Audi R8 formula. Yeah, this has just been added to my list of cars that I'd like to own again. That list only ever grows. It only ever gets longer. It never gets shorter. Never.